Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. What if guys, today is a brand new Division 2 video, and today I want to show you guys my damage PvE rifle build. Now I will say this build is not fully finished, and when it is, I do think the damage on this thing will be even better, and just overall melting NPCs will be way quicker. Also, I do want to say that playing with this build, you have to play in cover a little bit more than you have to with like SMG builds or AR builds. It's not the most tankiest build, it doesn't have the most health on it, but again, the damage output, and if you're strictly going for damage, this is something you guys should definitely check out. So if you guys do enjoy this video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe for more videos, and let's get right into this. Alright, so this is the build. As you guys can see, I'm SPECT pretty much everything into offensive attributes. I'm sitting at 14 of them, then we also have 1 skill power or electronic attribute, and 4 defensive ones as well. With this build, the model was pretty much everything into critical hit chance, critical hit damage, and headshot damage, and also damage to elites. Again, for damage, that's what you want to do, and that should be your model as well. Also for the armor, I'm sitting at 170,000, 37,000 health, and 279 skill power. Again, as I said, it's not the most tankiest build, but if you play correctly, if you play in cover, you guys should be fine. And I'm not saying that you will get melted 100% of the times, but if you're doing those heroic bounties, if you're doing those challenging missions and you are against the boss, you can't just face tank him, you can't just sit, one-on-one with him. You have to play kind of smart and a little bit different. Okay, so moving on, the first thing I want to go over is actually the weapon. So what I'm using is the Police MK17, and this is by far, in my opinion, the best rifle in the game with a damage output, and just overall, it's really easy to handle. The accuracy, the stability on this thing is really nice. And just overall, it's a great kind of weapon if you get the right rolls with it. So for the talents, what I'm using is Breadbasket, Accurate, and Vascally. Now Breadbasket, in my opinion, is really good, especially on rifle builds, and if you can get the requirements, as you guys can see, this thing is going to increase your damage by a lot, and it's going to be really helpful with the damage kind of output. Pretty much all you have to do is landing headshots adds a stack of bonus, plus 5% headshot damage, to the next headshot for 10 seconds, max stack is 10. So pretty much anytime you hit the body, you can stack it up to 10, and whenever you switch to a headshot and you hit the enemy for a headshot, the damage is going to be increased by a lot. So I think I'm sitting at like 260,000 base damage with this weapon in the head when it's a crit, and whenever I stack, I'm sitting almost at 300k. I think it's like 295 or something like that. So again, stacking Breadbasket is really nice, especially for those like heroic bounties or those challenging missions and stuff. So again, if you want to do more damage, this is something you should definitely look into. Accurate, pretty self-explanatory, gives you 15% extra accuracy, and Vascally, while holstered, you are able to resist 5 ensnare attempts can occur once every 60 seconds. Not the best talent, but again, it's better than nothing, I guess you could say. Next up for the weapon mods, I'm SPECT pretty much everything into critical hit chance, critical hit damage, and headshot damage. So on the scope, I'm using 10% critical hit damage. On the magazine, we have plus 15% headshot damage. On the underbarrel, we have plus 10% critical hit chance. And on the muzzle, we have plus 20% critical hit damage as well. Up next for the secondary, I'm using the 1886 rifle, and this is pretty much my boss killer, I would say. If there's a kind of high tanky NPC in front of me, this is something I switch to, and it just shreds completely through the armor. It just kills them pretty much instantly, and as you guys can see from this quick clip, this weapon does around 404,000 damage in the head if it's a crit, and also that's without Breadbasket being stacked on this weapon as well. If I stack it, I sit about 440,000 damage in the head when it's a crit, so again, the damage output on this thing is absolutely insane, and if you haven't tried this weapon, I would highly recommend you do so. It's really accurate and really good, and although it's not the best thing with magazine capacity and RPM, if you want to use something a little bit different, definitely try this out. Now moving on to the main part of the video, and that is the gear. So the first thing I want to go over is my mask. I'm actually using a one-piece Gilligard, and this is for the 5% total armor. I'm also sitting at 4,900 health with it, 25% damage to leads, and I'm also using hard hitting for the 15% damage to leads as well. And then for the mod, I'm actually using a utility protocol mod that gives me a little bit of skill power and some headshot kill XP. For the chest, I'm using a 3-piece Overlord armament, and what this thing gives me is 10% rifle damage, 7.5% total armor, and 7% damage to leads. Also for the attributes, I'm setting at 12.5% headshot damage, 10.5% weapon damage, and 5,190 health. Also for the talent, I'm setting with Unbreakable, and what this thing gives me is 25% of max armor is repaired when your armor is depleted. Armor kits used within the next 5 seconds are not consumed. So this thing's really good. As I said, if you are playing on cover, you kind of can pay attention when your armor is depleted. Once it gets destroyed, you can pop your armor kits, and the armor kit is not going to be consumed at all. So pretty much you have like unlimited armor kits in a way, if you play this smart and you kind of can keep an eye on it. And also it repairs your armor by a little bit, so you don't get, one-shotted once your armor is missing. So that's really good, and you can't really use that many other talents since I'm also spec'd this high into defensive attributes. And just for PvE, again, if you're playing cover, this talent is really nice. And moving down for the mods, I'm using a offensive mod with weapon damage, damage to health, LMG damage, and I'm also using a defensive mod with bonus armor, armor regeneration, and total armor. Moving down for the holster, I'm using a one-piece Wyvern Wear holster, and this is pretty much for the critical hit damage. I'm also setting with 13.5% critical hit chance, 15% damage to leads, and then for the mod, we have another weapon damage and headshot damage mod. Moving over for the backpack, we have a Badger Tough backpack, and I also have damage to leads on this thing, bonus armor, critical hit damage, weapon damage, and critical hit chance. And I don't actually have any kind of talents on this thing. If I could, I wish I can get something like damage to leads on a backpack that had this kind of attribute set up, but I haven't been lucky, so for now it is what it is. And then also for the mod, I'm using a offensive mod that gives me weapon damage, critical range, and optimal range as well. For the gloves, we're using another piece of Overlord armaments, and this thing gives us 3.5% critical hit chance, 6% rifle damage, and 15% headshot damage, thanks to Precise. And then lastly, for the knee pads, we have another piece of Overlord armaments, and we have 5% critical hit chance, and once again, 15% damage to leads for the talent. And for the mod, we're using another offensive protocol mod that gives us weapon damage, optimal range, and headshot damage as well. So yeah, this is pretty much my weapon setup. This is my gear setup for this build. There can be changes made and some better gear pieces can come in, but for now this is what I'm rocking with, and this is what I've been able to kind of get over the time period I've been playing. Moving on for the skills, I want to show you guys, so I'm using the Reviver Hive. This is pretty much for PvE again, if I'm playing solo missions, if I'm just, going down, instead of my teammates picking me up, this thing can pick me up, and it's pretty nice. And I'm also using the Chem Healer, or the Chem Heal, which is the Reinforcer. With this, I find that the healing drone or the fixer drone isn't really that useful because you're not moving around, you're sitting pretty much in one spot all the time. So instead of having that drone up and the NPCs can destroy it, I could just pop this whenever I need it, and I get it back a little bit quicker as well in 20 seconds. And again, I'm not moving, so there's no point of that thing following me around, and I could just use this whenever I'm in need. And then lastly, I want to go over the kind of weapon stats and the stat sheet. So this is my weapon damage. I'm sitting at 47.2k, 37.5% critical hit chance, 85% critical hit damage, 133% headshot damage, my accuracy, stability, and then we have 74% damage to leads, which can be higher again if I get damage to leads on my backpack. And then lastly, you guys can see my total armor, my max health, my health regeneration, and everything else. So yeah, that's going to be it for the video. Also, really quickly, with this build, you want to use the sharpshooter specialization. It gives you the rifle damage, it gives you the accuracy, stability, reload speed, and stuff like that. So specialization of the sharpshooter is a must, and if you don't use that, you're really missing out on a lot of damage. But once again, that's going to be it for the video. Thank you all so much for watching. If you guys have any questions, let me know in the comments. I respond to all my comments. So again, if you have anything, I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. But again, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe for more videos, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.